In the following two videos, after a few preliminary comments, I will outline what I believe is a workable framework for a theory of objective conversation. The idea is, by means of this website, to locate people who can persevere with principles that can bring about measurable changes in features of life and consciousness relevant to the great questions of human existence: birth, death, identity, destiny, immortality, and the like. Identification of these principles will be a primary objective, and I will be taking a stab at that. But I don't claim to have the final word by any means. These principles are to be identified by consensus. If we succeed in getting a framework for objective conversation, I think we will be setting ourselves up for something remarkable. I believe the invention of objective conversation will force us and our society to change in an altogether positive way. I think objective conversation will, over a long run, turn us into something like actual angels. And I think it will turn our world into a higher form of cosmic existence. So the first principle to notice is that people in conversation cause changes in other people and in themselves. That's just a fact about conversation. The important question is whether, by the application of intelligence and self-discipline, we can characterize those changes scientifically and mold and direct them in a way that seems good. So one can see already there will be elements of art, of science, and of religion. Those Hegelian elements of the freed mind or spirit in any systematic attempt to objectify conversation. A second fact of interest is that currently there exists no scientific or even philosophical theory of conversation. Science is a highly effective method used to study nature, and philosophy is a very old branch of human knowledge. But neither of these fields has managed to pay attention to conversation as such. Apparently there are some insuperable difficulties with the idea. But I must confess I don't really know what they are. A third idea is there exist grades or classes of conversation and conversationalists. Conversation is a skill, an art, a technique. Conversationalists are better suited for some topics and forms of conversation and less suited for others. Conversation can be augmented or reduced. Technology, things like the theater or the Google search engine, can be imagined to play an important role in ideal conversation. One can adduce a number of other facts and presumed facts about conversation, and it will be worth attempting to do so in a systematic manner. But what I'd like to do in the remainder of this video and in the next companions is to outline a set of principles that I believe are necessary to guide conversation of an ideal type. Ideal conversation will be a kind of social interaction that produces an unqualified good in the people who participate. What an unqualified human good really is has exercised philosophers since Plato and Aristotle, and I won't try to say anything definitive about the unqualified good here, except to assert that it must be a spiritual quantity of some sort. I think the basic characteristic of the conversational good is some form of purity and purification. It's something like sleep, which knits the raveled sleeve of care. It's something people instinctively recognize, and to which they instinctively and self-consciously are drawn, as by some law of organic or cosmic nature. Now, if the conversational good is some form of waking sleep, some form of transcendence, in the sense, some form of transcendence of the sense world and its entanglements, it may follow that conversation is really about the construction of a new body of life for the human being and the organization of a new set of senses. That would be consistent with the occult and mystic traditions from yoga and monasticism, from pharaonic technology and worship, from Jewish Kabbalah, from Islamic methods of prayer and fasting. It will also, in all likelihood, prove consistent with modern chemical discoveries about psychoactive compounds that profoundly alter mind and consciousness. The idea of conversation, then, is really the notion that we can alter consciousness systematically by means of language and social practice, and that we should do so for the sake of ourselves and the ecology of our terrestrial home in the cosmos. In the next two videos, I will show how I believe this can be done.